The movie begins with Anna, a 10-year-old girl whose belly suddenly looked big, like she was pregnant. No matter what she did, she couldn't fit into her biggest pants. Her mom, Christy, was surprised but didn't think it was anything serious. She told Anna it was probably just a stomach problem and that medicine would help. But later that night, Anna started throwing up in the bathroom, just like someone with morning sickness. Christy got scared and gently rubbed Anna's back. Her dad, Kevin, brought a towel. They decided to take Anna to the hospital the next morning. Waiting only made things worse. Anna's belly got even bigger, and she passed out in the back seat of the car. At the hospital, the doctors did a full checkup, but the results shocked everyone. All the scans looked normal. They didn't see anything wrong. Christy was upset. She told the doctor that Anna was in pain all the time, had been throwing up for weeks, and her belly was very swollen. "How can that be normal?" she asked. The doctor calmly said, "It's probably lactose intolerance. That can cause stomach problems and bloating." Christy felt unsure, but at least they had an answer. For now, she and Kevin relaxed a little. But that night, Christy woke up to the sound of Anna screaming. She ran upstairs and saw Anna holding her belly, rolling in pain, and sweating a lot. Terrified, Christy and Kevin knew they couldn't wait anymore. They rushed Anna to the biggest hospital in town. When they arrived at the emergency room, a young doctor shrugged and said Anna's symptoms were just normal acid reflux after eating. He told them to take more walks after meals and began to leave. The couple chased him into the hallway, begging him to check Anna again. But the doctor grew impatient and said, quote, "If you don't trust me, just go to another hospital. Don't waste our time here." This time, Christy lost it. She grabbed the doctor, her eyes full of tears, and said, like a mother lion protecting her cub, "You find me another doctor. You run some more tests."
You find me another doctor, you run some more tests. I'm not leaving this hospital until I know what's wrong with my daughter.
Seeing how determined they were, the doctor finally agreed and walked away reluctantly. The couple waited anxiously all night. Finally, at dawn, Dr. Burgi, the head of pediatrics, walked in and gave them the results. What he said left them stunned. Anna had a bowel obstruction. Her intestines were twisted and blocked. If she didn't have surgery right away, her life would be in danger. Before they could react, 2 nurses came in and began prepping Anna for surgery. One nurse held up a tube and told Kevin they would need to put it through Anna's nose, and he'd have to help hold her still. Even though they thought they were prepared, the next moments were harder than they ever imagined. "Sweetheart, there you go, there you go," Kevin whispered until Anna was wheeled into the operating room. Her parents sat numb, terrified something might go wrong. Luckily, the operation ended quickly, but Anna didn't get better. In fact, she got worse. During surgery, Dr. Burgi discovered Anna had a rare condition. Her intestines weren't moving food through at all. Her body simply couldn't digest anything. The worst part? There was no real treatment. Anna could only survive by receiving nutrition through a feeding tube in her nose. Christy closed her eyes, pain radiating through her. She didn't even wait for the doctor to finish. She just stood up in a daze and walked out alone. Life was harsh, but whether they accepted it or not, it still went on. From then on, Anna lived on a feeding tube. Except for a bunch of colorful pills, she couldn't eat anything. Christy tried to stay optimistic, but every time she saw Anna's face, twisted in pain, it felt like a needle in her heart. Even though doctors said there was no cure, Christy and Kevin refused to give up. She called every children's hospital she could find. Kevin mortgaged their family farm and sold most of their belongings to pay for Anna's treatments. But after months of trying, it was like all those calls had disappeared into thin air. Nobody ever called back. Christy, always the hopeful one, finally started to break. Slumped by the door, she mumbled to herself, wondering if Anna's fate was sealed no matter what they did. Then she caught a glimpse of her other daughter Abby's disappointed eyes. That look reminded her, if parents gave up so easily, how could their kids ever learn to be brave? With that, Christy made a decision. The next morning, she took Anna and flew to Boston, where a famous pediatric doctor practiced. They had never been able to get an appointment, but Christy wasn't leaving without trying. At the hospital, the staff sympathized, but explained they needed an appointment. The earliest was 6 months away. Christy held back her tears, took a deep breath, and quietly left. But just as they were about to head home, Christy got a call from the hospital. They told her to bring Anna in at 7 a.m. the next morning. No one knew why they suddenly changed their minds, but Christy was overjoyed. The next day, they finally met Dr. Nurko, the top pediatric doctor in the country. He said he couldn't fully cure Anna, but he could give her a special medicine to help her digest food. She wouldn't need the feeding tube anymore and could live a more normal life. Christy let out a huge sigh of relief. Dr. Nurko's confident eyes gave her something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. But then he warned that the treatment was only a temporary fix, and side effects were still unknown. Anna would have to return to the hospital every week for 2 days of observation. Christy went quiet. Boston was nearly 2,000 miles from home. Even without counting treatment costs, just the plane tickets were overwhelming. But for her daughter, she gritted her teeth and said yes. Anna began her first phase of treatment. Her stomach was still swollen, but for the first time in months, without the feeding tube. She smiled again. However, as treatment continued, the side effects hit even harder than the doctor had expected. Every night, Anna suffered from unbearable stomach pain. Nothing could stop it. No medicine, no position, no comfort. Day and night, the pain tormented Anna's little body and slowly crushed Christy's heart.
I want to die. I want to go to heaven where there's no pain.
I want to be with me and Daddy anymore, and you'd leave a hole in my heart.
I'm sorry, Mommy. I don't want to make you sad. I just want it to be over.
Eventually, Anna gave up. She stopped eating, refused to bathe, and wouldn't cooperate with any treatment. Christy was frustrated, but by that point, she had no strength left either. The long treatments and rising expenses had drained everything from this once strong mother. She sat helplessly by the window, picked up her phone, and called home. Crying through the line, she told her husband, "We're done. Let's just bring her home." On the day Anna was discharged, Dr. Nurko personally walked her to the door. He felt heartbroken, knowing he couldn't save this poor little girl. He forced a smile, trying to hide his sadness. As Anna walked away, Dr. Nurko stood still at the entrance and let out a quiet sigh. But as painful as things already were, fate still wasn't done with this child. After returning home, Anna fell into a deep depression. She sat silently by the door every day, just waiting for death. To cheer her up, her sister Abby took her to the backyard. She suggested they climb the big tree like they used to when they were little. At first, Anna wanted to say no, but Abby gently encouraged her. Finally, Anna reached out her hand, and soon they were both up in the tree again. The two sisters sat there, gazing at the beautiful view in the distance, happily chatting about their childhood memories. Anna finally smiled, a real smile she hadn't shown in a long time. But just then, the thick branch beneath them suddenly sagged, splitting open with a loud crack. The sound terrified them. Abby quickly told Anna to climb toward the center of the tree for safety, but in the very next second, the unthinkable happened. Hearing Abby scream, Kevin rushed over with a ladder. He leaned it against the tree and peered down into the hollow trunk. But it was pitch black inside. He couldn't see anything. Panicked and helpless, he called 911. 10 minutes later, firefighters arrived and immediately began the rescue. But it turned out to be much harder than expected. The tree was very old, and they couldn't just cut it down. It would risk injuring Anna even more. The only safe option was to use an aerial ladder and slowly lift her out from the top. As firefighters did their best, reporters began arriving, but they weren't optimistic. The tree was over 30 feet tall, and Anna had fallen head first into the hollow. Her chances of surviving seemed nearly zero. When someone mentioned that Anna might already be dead, Christy clutched her chest, her eyes darting around in shock. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The fear of losing her daughter shattered the strong, hopeful woman she had always been. Crying uncontrollably, Christy walked to the base of the tree, fell to her knees, and pressed her forehead against the trunk. She begged the heavens for mercy, to spare her poor little girl. Everyone nearby was moved. One by one, people stepped forward, gathering around Christy to pray for Anna. With all their hearts, they hoped, just maybe, a miracle could happen. After 3 long hours, Anna was finally pulled out of the tree. As her limp body was gently lowered to the ground, she looked like a lifeless rag doll. Kevin and Christy's hearts twisted in fear, terrified that what they were about to receive was just a cold, lifeless body. Just when they had lost all hope, a miracle happened. "She's breathing!" When Christy heard those words, her knees gave out and she nearly collapsed. But the real shock was yet to come. After a full examination, the doctors were stunned. Anna had fallen nearly 30 feet down the tree, yet she had no head injury, not even a scratch. All she needed was a little glucose to boost her energy, and she could go home. Christy couldn't understand it. It just didn't make sense. But then, the next morning, another miracle happened. She noticed Anna's stomach had returned to normal. And Anna, smiling wide, said she was hungry for barbecue. Christy didn't even have time to celebrate. She quickly took Anna back to Boston for a detailed checkup with Dr. Nurko. After reviewing the results, even Dr. Nurko was speechless. Overnight, Anna's body had completely healed. There was no scientific explanation.
Thank you.
Back home, Anna's story spread quickly. Everyone thought it was a miracle from God. News reporters came, and soon Anna's whole family was invited to speak at church. But when Christy stood in front of all the people, looking at their hopeful faces, she didn't know what to say. Deep down, she felt the miracle wasn't only about God. It was also about all the kindness they received along the way. It was Anna's classmate who always treated her kindly. It was the friendly waitress who gave them food discounts when they had no money. It was the airport worker who pretended the computer had a problem so they could use expired coupons to fly. It was the hospital receptionist who risked getting in trouble just to give Anna an early appointment. It was their neighbor who quietly kept her baby in the car so the noise wouldn't bother Anna. As Christy talked, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't know if God was real, but she knew this: kindness, bravery, strength, and love without limits. Those are the real miracles in this world. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.